Hi everyone, welcome to Follow the Winklers channel. In this video, I will talk about my conclusions after living in the US for more than 5 years. This video will be interesting for you to watch because I will compare this experience living in the US with my previous experiences living in Russia, in Czech Republic, and in Switzerland. If you're willing maybe to immigrate, relocate to the US at some point, or if you're just open-minded and curious regarding what other people think about living in the US, this video is for you and I hope you will enjoy it. So let's start with the fact that US is the best country for immigrants. I think the reason why it happens because America offers really a lot of opportunities for people, and also because it just treats people coming from different countries in a pretty similar way, nicely, and no matter where you came from, you don't feel like being a foreigner here because pretty much all other people also immigrated from somewhere. This is a huge difference from living in Eastern or Western Europe, because those countries are formed different ways. So there is a biggest part of the population, which is a national population, which has been living in the country for many years and centuries. And then there is a small amount of, immigrants or of expatriates, people who are coming to live and work in that country. And not necessarily they're treated like the same people as people living in the country. For instance, I have been living in Switzerland, and it's a good example. Switzerland is a very small country, and Swiss people, to my opinion, kind of like their own people. They understand them better. And being a foreigner there sometimes creates this a little like suspicious reaction because, you don't speak Swiss German, at least initially when you come to the country, you speak English and with a different accent. And the country is so small that Swiss people really try to preserve the Swissness of their country, kind of to keep it untouched. So they react, with a lot of criticism if you say to them that you're not happy with something or some things, could be changed. And it's understandable, but again, it's much more comfortable, easy to deal with different in situation in the US than, let's say, in some European countries. Also, what is truly amazing for me right now, the relationship between Russia and US politically, unfortunately, have downgraded even more. It's pretty tense, and many people only read about the situation from newspapers, so they have their own opinion about what's going on. Nevertheless, me being Russian, never met, any huge criticism or kind of attacks, from American people. Mostly I have been only asked about where is my accent from, or like I look a little different, or some people would come and say, hey, I understand your accent is Russian, and by the way, my grandparents have been from Russia, or something like this. So thing number two, which is pretty amazing, is that because America is the land of immigrants, and because so many people from different cultures come to live here, it's very interesting to live in this country. If you're open-minded, if you can speak the language, if you're ready to learn about some other cultures and just communicate with many people, it's amazing in terms of how many access you can have to different countries, food, people, languages, tradition, and pretty much you can find anything of your interest in this country. Only here I could imagine that I had a nanny from Sweden, nanny from Peru, nanny from Ukraine, nanny from the US, and it's been a very interesting experience just by itself. Only here I could imagine that I have like a hairstylist from Japan. Sometimes, I have Mexican people come in and help me clean my space or something. I just met a lot of interesting people from very exotic countries, which I probably would never meet living in Russia or in Czech Republic or in Switzerland. So having like a better lifestyle, affording more things, to buy, better place to live, having a better paid job. I think most reasons why so many people want to come here. And I think generally it's true that America allows you to have all these opportunities. The foundation is understandable. So the cost of life is higher here. The cost of labor is higher here. Many professions are paid much higher than in other countries. So when you come here, you start to earn usually much more when you earn in your previous countries, because you just paid much more by the hour or with your salary. However, the trickiness of the situation is that you'll earn more, but you'll have to spend much more. And many people who come here, they don't think about it first because, we come from different countries where, for instance, in my native country, Russia, We don't pay for education, we don't pay for preschool, we don't pay for medicine, we don't pay for higher education. If you really have high grades and you pass the exams, well, you can study like I did in the Moscow State University for free, in one of the amazing universities in the world. That's pretty exciting. The real equation is that yes, you will earn more, but you will spend some more, because it's pure capitalism here. Things are just done different way. You just also have to work a lot. This is the reality. For sure, the consumption is stimulated a lot by all kind of like special offers, deals. You can get a lot of stuff on credit. You can get a leased car. It's wonderful. For instance, when we lived in Switzerland, we really were living kind of without the car because it was so expensive to get a car. It was even expensive to get a driver license. I don't remember by now, but I think it would cost much more than 1,000 francs just to get a driver license, and for sure also a lot of headache. So here, just pay monthly and get like a nice car, with a leasing scheme. It's fantastic. It's not possible in many other countries. So, however, my feeling is that the inflation has been, pretty high. I don't really believe the official statistics, because the official statistics is not bad every time, but then you go to the grocery store and like, oh my God, the price is just outrageous. So I feel like the life is just getting more complicated and will be becoming more expensive in the US. So it needs to be a very good evaluation and calculation if you want to come here, what really your salary can bring you and what is that real lifestyle you can have. My other conclusion after living here for 5 years is that it's amazing how much money is in the US. Like I'm living in a very nice, fancy area right now in Santa Monica. I'm lucky to spend at least a year in this area just to observe how people live. And I've seen just so many, multi-million houses around in the area. And every time I walk by, I'm like, what are those people doing? Interesting to know, what is their profession, where they're from, how much time it takes to earn this money. Especially in LA and California, in some fancy areas, you can see like, wow, there is like no limit. I mean, people can live in the multi-million houses. But anyway, the foundation of that, I think also is that American people are very hardworking. They work actually much more than many people in Europe, in my country. It's crazy. They probably don't know about it and don't think it that way, but that success and that, richness doesn't come without this like many hours of working. And if you compare this working statistic with other countries, the difference is drastic. Like after 1 year of working here in the US in a like regular corporation, you are allowed to have only 10 days of a vacation. After 5 years, you'll have 15 days, and after 20 years, you'll have 20 days. Oh my God. In my country, I'm allowed to have 28 days of paid vacation, no matter where I work and for how many years. In Europe, you'll have, 25 days vacation in Switzerland, 30 days vacation in France or Spain, 28 days vacation in UK. And comparing these numbers, you're like, oh my God, American people are slaves. Those people who work for corporations and good companies, it's crazy. I have a fantastic story from real life because I've done a module here in UCLA with mostly like Swiss students with whom I studied at a master program in Lugano. And so we had this trip here to California where we studied in UCLA Business School. We went to Malibu and we sat down at the ocean, this Malibu farm restaurants, and went to Universal Park and the Venice beaches. In Switzerland, by the way, it just rains so much. It like rains almost every day. Swiss students were super happy and they said, oh my God, like working and living in California would be like paradise. People are so friendly and nice and relaxed, and there's so many opportunities here. But then one day we had a module from UCLA professor about the career in US, the hiring contracts, how really the corporation work, and how people are getting laid off. After that module, especially when we knew about the fact that you can be laid off in one day without being paid much, and just let go without reason, oh my God, that just changed the whole perspective of things. And I remember vividly, like that brought such a shock after seeing the reality. All those students were like, it's nice to come, for a vacation in California and it's cool, but working here in the US, no, thank you. Another thing which is very interesting for me in the US, I call it for myself like kind of efficiency without aesthetics. I don't know, I think it bothers me personally, and many people wouldn't even pay attention because maybe I've seen so many beautiful things in Moscow and in Prague and in Zurich. And imagine, I've been living in the most beautiful, places in Europe. I've seen all of them. I mean, I've been living in Prague, which is like a postcard every day. And I vividly remember when I came the first day, to California, and we were just driving around, maybe not like in the best areas, but I definitely had the thought like, oh my God, why things are so not beautiful? And I really couldn't get rid of this feeling. Why the shops are like so big and they have just the sign on them and no display? Why the restaurants and cafes sometimes are like so simple? Why the infrastructure is old? Like, this is a strange feeling, but because, the cities are built different way, and because in Europe and in Russia too, you have this old, rich historical legacy, which looks totally different. So with that regard, it's even hard to explain. It's just the way things look, just the way things are done. My husband also explained it to me, saying, hey, here, so efficiency is much more important than kind of how it looks. It can be a store looking just like a warehouse, without even like anything interesting on the display, no windows of the store. But nevertheless, the store, offers and sells, a crazy amount of very good things. So you'll be happy when you get there, but just from outside, it doesn't look like anything special because it's not important for people. And this was very interesting for me. It took time really to get used to how things look here. The symbol of this kind of efficiency without aesthetics for me is kind of like a plastic cup for a coffee in the US. Because it's very good, right? It's comfortable. You can walk with this. You can put it in your car. But just for me personally, the coffee doesn't taste same good in this cup. So my preference would be always to have it in the ceramic cup when it's available in the coffee place. There are a lot of things which are like very strange for us, especially when we're Russians or Eastern European. When we come to the US, for instance, just kind of the lack of the basics things to which we got used, right? Here in the preschools, it's always a shock for us when we come and we find out that there are no beds for kids to sleep. That the kids literally sleep kind of on the floor, on the mats. I mean, like, are you kidding me? How is it even possible? But again, it's easy. It's probably simpler for preschool because sometimes they rotate these places where people sleep because it's faster, because it's easier, whatever reason they can find for themselves, yeah. But for us, it's like shocking. But mentioning this kind of simplicity, I refer for sure to the kind of average level of the things being organized. Because the more you live, the more you understand that for sure there are very fancy things and places and services for Americans for a certain level, more rich Americans. So there are fancy resorts, there are fancy restaurants, there are some fancy boutiques. You can see it in Beverly Hills and Santa Monica. So for sure there is, if you have a lot of money and you want to get a higher service, you want to stay in a better place, you want to have a fancy dinner, you can find it absolutely. And there are many choices. I'm just talking about this kind of average everyday life, which I think still most Americans have. They use these services, they go to places, and this looks different than in Europe. So with this I will stop, and I will do the part number 2 of this video because there is so much content which I would like to share. And in the next video I'm going to focus on other things and differences between US and Russia and Europe in terms of educational system, schools, medical systems, some social programs and economical trends. It's going to be very interesting. So if you like this video, please let me know in the comments what you found interesting. You can ask me a question or raise a topic which I can cover in my next video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it and found some of my thoughts interesting. See you next week. Have a good day. Bye.